And now a talk by Brian Willis about H.G. Wells, the well-known science fiction writer.
At the end of the 19th century, people were excited by new scientific discoveries, which seemed to promise so much for the future. And no writer expressed this feeling so much as H.G. Wells. Wells, who died in 1946, was an extremely prolific writer. His literary output was vast and extremely varied. He was born in 1866 in Bromley, Kent, the son of a professional cricketer, and was apprenticed to a cloth retailer in his early life. This period of his life was reflected in several of his novels. He became an assistant teacher at Midhurst Grammar School, studying by night and eventually winning a scholarship in 1884 to the Norman School of Science in London, where he came under the lasting influence of T.H. Huxley. Huxley was a successful lecturer and the grandfather of the more famous Aldous Huxley. For some years, endlessly fighting illness, Wells struggled as a teacher, studying and writing articles in his spare time. His marriage in 1891 to his cousin Isabel proved unhappy, and he eventually eloped with one of his students, whom he married in 1895. As a writer and thinker, he held extremely independent views, but as a writer, he is perhaps best remembered for his scientific novels, which were amongst the earliest products of the new genre of science fiction. He used his knowledge of science as the starting point for a series of exciting and fantastic stories. His first story, The Time Machine, which he wrote in 1895, is a social allegory set in the future. It describes a society divided into two classes, the subterranean workers, called Morlocks, and the decadent Eloi. This was followed by many more equally successful novels, which combine, in varying degrees, political satire, warnings about the dangerous new powers of science, and a desire to foresee a possible future. Wells's preoccupation with society, as well as just science, distinguishes him from many other writers of the time. Another group of his stories evokes in comic and realistic style the lower middle-class world of his youth. The History of Mr. Polly, which he wrote in 1910, recounts the adventures of Alfred Polly, an inefficient shopkeeper, who liberates himself by burning down his own shop and bolting for freedom, which he discovers as an odd job man at the Potwell Inn. Among his other novels, Anne Veronica, which he wrote in 1909, is a feminist story about a girl who defies her father and conventional morality by running off with a man she loves. Tono Bungay, also written in 1909, is a picture of English society in dissolution. It shows the rise of a new rich class of tradesmen embodied in the character of Uncle Ponderevo, a self-made man who is selling a worthless patent medicine. Despite the fact that to critics his novels eventually began to show less creativity, Wells continued to reach a huge audience. His many works on the theme of scientific and political speculation confirmed his position as one of the great popular writers and one of the most influential voices of his age. The pessimism of his last prediction, Mind at the End of Its Tether, which he wrote in 1945, may be seen in the context of his own ill health and the course of the Second World War. One of his last statements urged man to confront his grave and tragic destiny with dignity and without hysteria.